Welcome back for your second notes where we're going to be evaluating equations. You'll notice in these notes that not all the problems are completely filled in for you, so you'll have to fill in as you go. At the top of your paper you have y equals and a blank space. Make sure you fill in x divided by 2 plus 4. We're going to use that equation to work through examples 1 and 2. So example 1 tells us to solve for y when x is equal to 10. So make sure you fill in that value for x. I'm giving that to you. And we're going to use that equation that we were given initially. So let's write down y equals x divided by 2 plus 4. Now if we know that x is equal to 10, we're going to substitute that value. And when you substitute, you have to take something out to put something else in there. So we're going to take out the x and we're going to fill in 10 in its place. And then when we do that, we have only numbers on the right side of our equation. So we're going to simplify those numbers. Y is equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Then we're going to add 4. We're following the order of operations there, dividing before we add. And y is equal to 9. Let's look at example 2. This time we're solving for x when y is equal to 10. So again, we're going to use that equation, y equals x divided by 2 plus 4. This time, instead of substituting for x, we're substituting for y. So take out the y and substitute 10 in its place. And now our variable is hidden over here on the right side. This is like the problems from lesson 1. First, we need to subtract 4 from both sides. That's going to leave 6 on the left. 10 minus 4 is 6. And x divided by 2 on the right, because these 4's will cancel. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 2. 2 times 6 is 12. These 2's cancel and leave us just x. So x is equal to 2. Sometimes we want to evaluate an equation at several values of either the input or the output. And so we will organize our information in a table. So in this table you see that I've given you a couple of values for A and the B's are missing, or I've given you a couple of values for B and the A's are missing. So we're just going to complete the 4 rows of this table. We're going to have to do this one row at a time. So if we look at the first row, this tells us that our A value is -3 and we want to find the B. And B is given to us, you'll need to write this down, as A plus 4 divided by 2. So we're looking for B, and we're going to substitute -3 for the A. So -3 plus 4 divided by 2. I'm taking out the A, I'm putting -3 in its place. Now that's all numbers, so I can simplify. -3 plus 4 is 1 divided by 2. So in my table, I can record 1/2 in the B column when A is equal to -3. Now you try that with A being 0. Make sure that you pause the video so that you can work through it and then come back and check your answer. You should have substituted 0 for A and simplified to get a value of 2 for B and fill in the table. Now we're going to change it up a little bit. Instead of being given the A value, we're being given a value for B. So we want B to be -7. Make sure that you're substituting for the correct letter. If I substitute -7 for B, then -7 is equal to A plus 4 divided by 2. The A plus 4 is grouped by the fraction bar, so I'm going to undo the division first by multiplying both sides by 2. 2 times -7 is -14. These 2's cancel and leave A plus 4. Now subtract 4 from both sides. And -18 is equal to A, because those 4's will cancel. So on my table, I'm going to fill in -18 for A when B is equal to -7. Again, pause the video, substitute 10 for B, and then see what value you get for A. You should have gotten a value of 16 for A when b is equal to 10. Make sure that you filled in the table. Did you notice that the steps that you used to solve for a were the same steps that we used in the previous row? In example 4, we're going to work a word problem. Try not to be intimidated by the word problems. I'm going to show you some tips for marking up the problem and identifying things that you need to use to write an equation, and then use that equation to answer some other questions. With practice, word problems will become easier to interpret. You just need to practice it. So don't give up. Example 4. The amount of money in Mr. Bean's wallet is $50. Take away $5 for each kid that asks for lunch money. So we have a couple of things that we don't know that are important. The amount of money in Mr. Bean's wallet. That's something we don't know, and we're probably going to need to know it. It's changing all the time, which makes it a variable. So when we define our variables, we're going to assign a letter to things that we don't know. You can use any letter, but I like to use letters that kind of connect to the context of the problem. So I'm going to use M for the amount of money in Mr. Bean's wallet. He starts with $50, and then we're going to take away, which means subtract, $5 for each kid. So we don't know how many kids there are, so that's our next variable. We're going to let K be the number of kids. For each kid, we're going to take $5 away from the $50 that he started with. So let's think about this as 50 minus 5 times the number of kids, so K. And when we evaluate that, that's going to tell us how much money is in Mr. Bean's wallet. When you see this word is, a lot of times that's where your equal sign is. So that's another hint that you can use. So if we read our equation in the context of the problem, we're saying M, which is the amount of money in Mr. Bean's wallet, is $50 minus $5 times the number of kids that he gives lunch money to. So on part B, it asks us how much money does Mr. Bean have in his wallet if he gave money to all 9 of his children. So we're looking for how much money. That's our M. And we know that K is equal to 9. So let's substitute into our equation. M is equal to 50 minus 5 times 9. We're going to do that multiplication before we do the subtraction. So we'll do 50 minus 5 times 9 is 45. Then when we subtract, we get 5. If we put units on that, we will say he has $5 in his wallet. Look at part C. This time we want to know how many children, so we're looking for a value of K. How many children did Mr. Bean give money to if he has $30 left in his wallet? So that's an M value. M is equal to 30. So we're going to substitute into our equation again. This time 30 takes the place of M, and 50 minus 5K completes our equation. We want to solve this for K, so we're going to subtract 50 from both sides. We get a negative 20, be careful with your signs there, is equal to negative 5K. Now we're going to divide both sides by negative 5 because negative 5 is multiplied by that K. Negative 20 divided by negative 5 is 4. And then we have K by itself on the right side of the equation. So this means that there are 4 kids. Let's go through that process again in example 5. We have a different context, but we're going to use some of those same techniques for setting up our equation. The student council needs to raise $400, so I'm going to underline that because it seems important. So they hold a talent show and sell tickets. Every student ticket costs $2, and each adult ticket costs $5. So let's define some variables. Let's let the number of student tickets be S, and the number of adult tickets be A. Now these are counting numbers, like we sold 5 tickets or we sold 50 tickets. Okay, these are not dollar amounts. To make our units match, we're going to have to use the $2, the $5, along with our $400. So if we know how much money they make with student tickets, and we know how much money they make selling adult tickets, and we add those together, we need to get $400. So the amount of money they're going to get from selling student tickets is going to be $2 times the number of student tickets. And then we said we're going to add to that how many adult tickets they get multiplied by $5. And that's going to equal $400. So once I multiply those numbers of tickets by the corresponding cost of the ticket, then that will change this into a money equation, and our units match throughout the equation. Now we can answer the question, how many adult tickets do you need to sell if you sell 200 student tickets? So we're just going to substitute into our equation. Our S is equal to 200. And we're looking for A. So 2 times 200 plus 5 times the number of adult tickets, which is what we're looking for, is equal to 400. 2 times 200 is 400. So we're simplifying in that step. And now we're going to solve. Let's subtract 400 from both sides. And when we do that, the 400s go out on the left, which is what we're trying to do, but they also cancel out on the right, which just puts a 0 on the right side of the equation. Now we can divide both sides by 5, but we know that if we multiply 5 times the number and get 0, then our A value has to be equal to 0. 5 times 0 is equal to 0. So if we sell 200 student tickets, then we don't need to sell any adult tickets to make that $400 goal. Let's look at part C. How many student tickets do you need to sell if you sell 50 adult tickets? So this time our A is equal to 50, and we're looking for our S value. 2 times S plus 5 times A, which we know is 50, is equal to 400. Let's simplify that multiplication. So 2 times S plus 5 times 50 is $250 is equal to 400. We'll subtract 250 from both sides. So 2S is equal to 400 minus 250, which is 150. 2 is multiplied by S, so we're going to divide by 2 on both sides, and the 2's cancel. S is equal to 75. So 75 student tickets need to be sold if 50 adult tickets are sold, so that we make our $400 goal. Now turn your paper over and you will be trying some problems. Here's the problem for number 1. Make sure you write that down, and then also write down the values that are given in the table. After you've paused the video and worked through these problems, come back and check your answers. So here's a look at our answers. Make sure you double check. If you made any mistakes, then check your work. Did you remember to move that -3 or that negative down with a 3 from our original problem in these 2 examples right here? That will save you some steps in your work. Also, make sure that you identified your variables. Make sure that you write your equation and not just give the answers. After you've checked your notes, then make sure that you complete a summary, and then go ahead and start working on your practice, and you can do the practice in class. Remember to ask questions in class and advocate for yourself if there's something that you don't understand. You can ask your group, you can ask your teacher.